Hi, Eileen. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you so much for meeting me today.
Thanks for coming over. You know, one of the things that we're always happy about is when people actually find us all the way back here in the woods.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully people will now know where you are here at the Grove Cultural Center and that there's this beautiful big parking lot, nice and close in front of the building to come in and visit. What I'd love to hear about is first, how did the Lake Forest Lake Bluff Senior Center come to be?
Okay. Well, you know, there's a history about the center before we were actually located in this building.
Right. Can you start with that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was about 35 years ago, which is about when most senior centers were getting started. Was kind of, I think, the first time that people were looking at post-work years as something to really relish. And in the Gorton Center, originally, there was a small space and some limited programming. And about 11 years ago, the people in charge were just really highly motivated to get more space and really increase the programming. And they noticed that Dickinson Hall was available, and so we are in October going to celebrate 11 years here on the Grove Cultural Campus.
Wow, it's a wonderful building from the front. I know we'll be taking a tour in a little bit. Can you give me a brief overview about what the center does?
Well, we are a daytime activity center for, you know, active and healthy seniors. You know, people sometimes, it's all the terminology that gets involved, and actually we're focusing a lot right now on letting people learn the fact that we are in the building called Dickinson Hall, and that's really what we want to focus on. It is activities for people 50 and over. We like to think sometimes 50 and better is the way to look at it. And we have everything from educational things. There are lectures and cultural events in terms of music and plays that are both performed here, as well as going down into the city for day excursions, for things like that. And we have lots of, I would say everything that we do here is focused on bringing people together.
Wonderful.
Because it really is socialization that is the key to keeping people healthy. So everything they do, whether they're here to play poker, canasta, or mahjong, or they come for a lecture or to knit, everything is just really bringing people together and finding a new peer group at whatever age they're at in their lives.
Well, I think you made a great point. You know, kind of that stereotype is, well, what is a senior? And I think often the residents aren't familiar that senior is, in this case, you've got services for 50 and older. 50 is young.
50 is young.
They say it's the new 40. And so why not, you know, if you've got your kids out on their own, you're retiring, get involved. There's lots, as you mentioned, educational and socialization activities for people to be a part of.
Well, and you know, because we've done a couple of intergenerational things, I've had younger, mostly women at this point, who've been here for activities, sometimes daytime or evening, and they look around and they say, oh, I wish I could do that. And I say, well, you know, if you're over the age of 50, you can. And I think what has kept a lot of people away is sometimes that stigma. And what we're really trying to do is open people's minds to the idea that you are truly as young as you feel.
Exactly.
You know? So it's very much an attitude and a state of mind.
Do you have any annual events that we can talk about here at the center?
Absolutely. In fact, last week we were down at the beach, at our beautiful Lake Forest beach, and we had breakfast at the beach. With a steel band and calypso music.
Oh, how fun.
Full hot breakfast, and that's something that's become a really popular event. We had almost 100 people. Annually, we tend to do a lot of seasonal celebrations, so like the rest of the world, when it's Thanksgiving and holiday time, and we really focus kind of seasonally. We have done Cinco de Mayo parties and St. Patrick's Day, so there's no doubt that among all of the classes and things, the social events are a real draw. And again, that kind of crosses all the decades. It really does.
Super. Well, I'd love to get a tour of the facilities, and I know Robert wants to ask you a couple questions as well.
Sure. All right, wonderful.
Excellent. Let's get started.
You know, people are very surprised, of course, when they get here and realize what's inside this building, a landmark that it is. When you come in, this whole area has been added from the original, and of course, we have in the lobby now, we have a volunteer who's working here for us, because we found that it's really important to have someone down here to actually greet people.
Absolutely.
The members enjoy chatting on their way in or out, and it's a great help to us, and it's an outlet for some of our members. So this is kind of obviously central greeting area.
Great.
And then up the first flight of stairs, this is where I would say 95% of all of our activities take place. So let me show you what is kind of the heart center of the building. In here is our administrative office and administrative assistant Sherry Miller, and Assistant Program Coordinator Sue Suling. So this is where registration for membership and programs takes place, and pretty much everybody who comes into the building is going to make a stop here.
Excellent.
So let me take you down the hall here actually to our great room, and as we go down I want to point out to you that the pictures that you see on the wall were actually done by one of our own members.
Wow, I was just noticing how beautiful they are in this watercolor.
It's all watercolor, which I'm not a painter, but I understand is one of the most difficult kinds of painting to do, and they meet weekly. During the year they meet in the center, and then during the summer, believe it or not, they go out on site and they're in someone's garden around Lake Forest.
Oh my gosh.
All during the summer. So it's such a wonderful experience for them, because sometimes they may have never had a chance for an exhibit of their work, so they are now on display for 2 months at the Senior Center, and it's really nice. So let's go on in here where we have all of our parties.
So Marla, this is the great room?
Yes, this is where we have really the majority of our activities, and as you can kind of see, we're set up for an event today, and in about an hour or so there will be about 40-50 men in here for Men's Club, which is an activity that happens once a month, and they'll have lunch and followed by a speaker, and the room is subdivided into 3 sections at its most versatile.
Okay.
You can have 3 different activities at the same time.
Yeah, see that the room dividers in here.
And I'll show you, we have, although this will be going on in here, in this room we have bridge going on at the same time. So it's wonderful to be able to have multi-purpose. We have sometimes there'll be a dance class or an exercise class at the same time that Mahjong is playing, or we could be having lunch. So it really is quite versatile, and works out really well for us.
What a wonderful space. And one of the things I wanted to ask, Marla, is this hearing loop installed sign. I see you have a couple of them around. Can you talk to me about this?
Yeah, we are one of the kind of public areas in town that has been fitted with the hearing loop, and what this does is anybody who has hearing loss and is wearing a hearing aid has a special switch that they can turn on, so that anytime there's any amplification through a microphone, they tune into it, and without having to have any excess volume, it really allows them to hear. So it's a huge help for a public, when we have lectures and things like that.
Wonderful. So. And then we're going to visit now the library and kitchen.
Yeah, these will come to some of the other things that make it feel so much like home away from home. So let me show you kitchen and library.
So Marla, this is a pretty large kitchen.
Well, it is actually, and it has kind of double purpose. You can see by kind of the informal snacks that are out and the coffee pot that this is kitchen where the members are invited every day to just come in, help themselves. There's always a snack. Anne, who's our program coordinator, does a great job of feeding everyone. And,
excellent.
You know, if you look over here, you'll see things set out on the cart, and because we're having the party that we looked at in the great room, this is in preparation for catering for lunch. And so when we usually bring food in from outside, and sometimes we're preparing things here, but this becomes the site of all of the events, and we might be serving 25 and we might be serving 125.
Wow.
So, but again, it's part of what makes, oh, and that's our little cuckoo clock that on the hour. There's a different bird at every hour. It takes people really by surprise sometimes.
It certainly does.
So let me show you the library.
Excellent. Let's take a look at that. So we're here at the library.
Yeah, another part of the building that really is kind of that homey feeling. You can see we have a puzzle set up. We have 2 members primarily who are here several days every single week, and there is always a puzzle on this table. It is either half done, or when they finally accomplish it, they leave it for a few days, but really it's great, and if anybody were so motivated, you could put a piece in.
Excellent.
And of course, the book selection, what's wonderful is we not only get donations from residents, but actually the local Lake Forest Public Library has a staff person who comes over regularly and updates all of the fiction, brings in some that are large print for anybody that is having some vision problems, but we have a pretty nice collection, and we are really loose about it. People can take it for whatever length of time they need. No penalties, no fines. So
and
it's
a great selection of newspapers and magazines also to catch up, and just like you said, a place to just come and sit and relax.
Yeah, so
excellent.
We love it. The members enjoy.
Well, let's head upstairs and check out the rest of the center.
Okay, fantastic.
So Marla, we're here on the 2nd floor of the Senior Center. I noticed you have a poker table over here.
Yes, we
and,
have a really active, this is one of the things very popular. We have gone from one table to 2 tables now. We have poker twice a week in the afternoons, and men and women playing, and we've probably got about 16 people. So just one of the things that people come over here for.
One of the many activities, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to show me a little bit more activities that they have here to offer to seniors?
Yeah, I'd like to show you where our wellness room is.
All right, perfect.
All right.
So Marla, we're here at the Wellness Center.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about the services you provide here?
Yeah, this is kind of a really desirable part of the center because in here we have a massage therapist who's here twice a week, and she does therapy that is really helpful for people with arthritis and also just a general, feel-good kind of thing. So she's here twice a week. Several times a month we have a podiatrist who comes in and does basic foot care, and for those who are on Medicare, they can just pay for it with their Medicare card. Otherwise, the services are available basically to members. And then one of the things we've added that's newest is manicure and pedicure, which people are really enjoying. It's private and just a very comfortable space. So anyway, one of the highlights of membership, and everything is by appointment.
Okay.
You know what, let me show you also what's on this floor where we have some computers.
All right, sounds good. So I noticed we're here at the Brain Fitness Center, Marla. Would you like to tell me a little bit about this room and what goes on here?
Absolutely. This software was developed about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's intended to help people with focus and memory. And actually, although it's targeted to help anyone over the age of 40, we have a lot of our members who've taken advantage of it, and we have somebody actually working on it right now. It's once they learn how to do it, and I usually give a brief training session, it's totally self-directed, all through the computer, and it is, I've had people tell me they have great results in terms of really being able to focus and remember things better. It was donated by one of our foundation members.
Oh, wonderful. Would you like to talk a little bit about your foundation?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the office is right next door.
Perfect. Let's go and take a look at it.
Okay, here's actually the foundation office, and our staff in here, Diane Chicos, who's the administrator for our foundation, and our accountant, Suzanne. And this is where most of the administrative work takes place, and the foundation is established to basically support the senior center. They do 2 major fundraisers every year, and all of the donations to the senior center are tax deductible. So although there are 2 major appeals done, anyone in the community that's interested in supporting the center can actually make a donation at any time. We're always happy to accept that.
So if I was interested in making a donation to you guys, how would I make one?
Well, the best way probably would be to call the center for information, and we could direct someone to do that. And they can do it credit card, cash, check. We take all kinds, but yeah, we could give instructions through the phone. So.
Wonderful, and the fundraiser sounded pretty fun too.
Yes, it's been very successful for us, and it's really critical to our operation, so they're incredibly supportive, and we are greatly appreciative. So let me go on and show you a little bit about the history of the building, and I'd like you to meet our senior advocate as well.
All right.
I wanted to introduce you to our senior advocate, Janet Fryer.
Hello.
This is Robert, and if you want to just give us just a little introduction about what you do here, Janet.
Well, basically, I see myself as helping older adults solve problems. I help people with Medicare, finding the right Medicare drug plan, understanding Medicare issues. I help people find caregivers. I visit people in their homes just because they need some emotional support. Just that sort of thing. Plus, I run a few groups here. We have a low vision support group. We have a home alone group, which is mostly women who live alone. And we also have a caregiver support group for family caregivers taking care of a loved one. So that's basically what I'm doing.
Yeah, crucial part of the center, so thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
I want to show you a little bit about the history of the building. It really is a very unique place. The building has been registered as a historic landmark, and it started out as a residential school. And very surprisingly, the name of the building, actually, they called it a preventorium, which I'd never heard of before. And in the early 1900s, when there was a TB scare and it was of epidemic proportions, there were no antibiotics available. So there were actually children identified to come out to the country where it was clean air, and they were residential here. They lived, they were schooled, and they basically had about 40 girls. Ultimately, I think a few boys were involved, and it lasted for about 10, 15 years. And when the antibiotics actually came into play and the TB scare was no longer around, there was a transition so that they took care of children who had either emotional problems or for some reason their parents couldn't care for them. The third incarnation was that it was a center for developmentally disabled, both physically challenged and mentally challenged young adults. And again, it was residential education, vocation training, and that lasted until about the 70s. The building was just empty and dormant for a while, and then ultimately was identified by the people at the senior center as what a wonderful place to set up a recreation center for people that have reached retirement, and starting at a very young age of 50 and forward, now operates as Dickinson Hall. So it really has a long and rich history here.
And it's wonderful too, because you've been here for now 10 years. It is.
Yes, actually in October it's the 11th year celebration. We had a big anniversary celebration last fall of being in this building. So I know it'd be nice.
Up on the wall here you have some different types of articles.
Yes, there were things that date all the way back to the early 40s with photographs of the kids that lived here, a history about it, and interestingly enough, two sisters that lived here when they were 7 and 10 years old came back to visit last year for the first time, and they're in their 70s, and they actually attended our anniversary party. I'll show you. These two girls lived here for 3 years. They're sisters, and here they are now, and they donated this page out of the newspaper from 1947 at Christmas time, and it was just such a thrill for them to be here. She wrote a little bit of a story, and that's their photograph. And when they went into the building next door, which was all part of the campus of the school, there was actually a Christmas card that had been sent to one of the girls in the 40s that had never been delivered because she'd moved on, and she was able to identify that. So it really was amazing to actually meet people who'd lived here. So it was very exciting.
Thanks for the tour, Marla. I really enjoyed learning about Dickinson Hall. Let's step outside and see Eileen.
Great. I know we're going to be able to look at the garden. There's a really nice facility outside as well.
Thank you.
Wow, it's just beautiful out here, Marla.
Yeah, we are so lucky. Actually, this whole section that you see here of the gardens, the patio and gardens, were donated by one of our members. She is a master gardener herself, has of what I understand, quite an amazing garden in town. And when her husband passed away, she donated the funds to create this entire terrace and garden, worked with one of the very well-known landscape architects, and it has become just a real centerpiece for the building. We are out here for cocktails and hors d'oeuvres before our dinner parties and lunches. It's really, really wonderful.
And it's a great place on a day like today to bring a book out.
Absolutely.
Maybe even move the card game out here.
I've held meetings out here on days where people say, you know, why would you want to stay inside when you've got this? So yeah, it's really flexible. Not too much in the winter unless somebody wants to make a snowman, excuse me, but really nice property area, yeah.
Fabulous. And Martha, I would also like to get the contact information for the center here at Dickinson Hall.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the easiest way for anybody, no matter what you're doing on a computer or not, is to call us, and that is 847-234-2209.
Okay.
So that gets you into the main number of the building. We are on the website.
Okay.
Right now, I know the city is actually undergoing kind of a total redesign of the city's website, but at this point, people can still go to www.cityoflakeforest.com.
Okay.
Although we are really kind of focusing a little bit of a transition from the traditional name of calling it the Senior Center. The building is Dickinson Hall, and that's really what our focus is. So at this point, if someone were looking for the newsletter, they'd be able to find it under the headline of seniors and then the news brief. But actually, if people are looking for us, we are identifying ourselves so truly as Dickinson Hall because it is a place for people anywhere from 50 on upwards, and we know how high that can go these days. And it's a place for education, for leisure activities, really for rediscovering. Kind of our new kind of theme is to explore. And we're looking at exploring learning and wellness. We have some wonderful things. Always, I think the main thing is here, everybody who comes, we are looking for their individual story. The staff is incredibly warm and welcoming, and we'd like to see everyone come over and give it a try.
Well, the great opportunity is to meet new friends and to try something new. I think explore covers all of that in one word. Yeah,
you're right. And it doesn't matter whether you have started something at age 50 or you're doing it at 80. We find people making connections with friends and sometimes even romance.
Hey, I love that.
Not out of the question.
Great.
So yeah, we welcome people to stop by. Actually, they can come in, pick up a newsletter, tour the building at any time, and we are really flexible about it and very welcoming. So.
Well, Marla, thank you so much. It's truly been a pleasure. The tour. I know Robert covered the second floor today, and I'm just enjoying this wonderful space out here.
Thank you so much.
You're
really
welcome.
Nice to be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Inside Lake Forest. As you know, we've been visiting Dickinson Hall here at the Cultural Grove campus in Lake Forest. It's a place for adults 50 and older. Come and explore.